I realized early on in life, early on in life, that my ability to influence an outcome would give me an edge, like a competitive advantage forever. And as long as I use that skill, which I've been working on for like decades now, for good, I can make a real impact in the world.
Hello, and welcome to the Everything is Influence podcast, where we discuss everything influence. Ultimately, why do humans do the things they do? As you know, there are 4 levels of influence: how we influence ourselves to get ourselves to do what we do, and how do we take that certainty, that energy, and transfer it to another human being. 1-to-1 influence, that's level 2 influence, and then 1-to-many, which we're about to do here. And what I'm most excited about is really sharing with you level 4 influence. And there's no better person in the world, I believe, that's doing that than this gentleman right here, Jared Yellin, who recently partnered with Grant Cardone. And today I have the privilege and honor to actually be here in 10X Studios. We just did the 10X Incubator Tank, really epic day. So a lot of that excitement and what's happening here will hopefully spill out into you and influence you to take more action into your life. So with all of that said, Mr. Jared Yellin, so great to be here with you.
Awesome, man. You too. First thing, thank you for coming. I want to acknowledge you for doing this. I just can't think of a more appropriate person to speak into the fact that influence is everywhere. Because I realized early on in life, that my ability to influence an outcome would give me an edge, like a competitive advantage forever. And as long as I use that skill, which I've been working on for like decades now, for good, I can make a real impact in the world. And I've never met anyone that can speak into the exact steps and strategies and formulas and structure the way that you do. So I'm a raving fan of your work. I can't wait for this podcast to get everywhere. Like, that's what I'm excited to see. So I'm all yours. Ask me anything.
Awesome. So I have so many questions, and I have the advantage where I actually know you. We had a relationship before this, and that connects me with some of the questions I want to uncover as to how you've become where you are today. We are going to circle back to it at the end, but if you could share with the audience what you're doing now, and then we're going to reverse engineer from level 1 to 4, kind of how you got here, because where you're at now is at a very high level of influence at scale. You're like scaling the scaling of implementation of values and principles and people and process and technology. So if you could share people exactly what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I had this realization like probably about 10 years ago, which is it's my moral responsibility, if someone's better off with me than without me, that I make sure that they say yes to my offer. And if they're also not, the opposite of that is true as well. So if they're not better off with me than without me, it's my moral responsibility to not have them say yes to my offer. So what we're doing today, from a very tactical, practical perspective, is Grant Cardone and I came together and we launched a company called 10X Incubator, where we will build, scale, and sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years. Total moonshot. And what I realized is the only way to accomplish something that's never been done before is that every person that you meet who's better off with you than without you, they need to dream about you when they're not with you. Because if they're dreaming about you when they're not with you, you're getting access to their mind and their thoughts and their dreams and their aspirations. And then all of a sudden they wake up because they just dreamed about you and they reach out to you with some path to collaborate, synergize, and produce something significant. I always say this to my attorney, which is my goal is every time we speak that you're going to dream about me that night because you can't bill me when you're dreaming about me. And that's the way I get free legal advice. But all kidding aside, this is like influencing when you're not with somebody. Yep. What can you say when you're with them to really like embed yourself into their life so that they can see a future with you, but their future is now becoming part of their presence and it's working with you and collaborating with you. So that's what we've done. The relationship capital that we've established at 10X Incubator is unlike anything I've ever seen before. From billionaires to celebrities to athletes, from big tech companies, venture capitalists, people in the valley, and people that also stand against what we're doing, but they're putting energy into us, which I so appreciate and value, and bringing attention for us. But I stand to get the attention of the right people, and I deploy influence to get that.
I love it. So these 4 levels of influence, how I break it down, yourself, starting there, analogy I often come back to over and over again is the height of the pinnacle is determined by the strength of the foundation. So if you have a 2-story building, very short, shallow foundation, but if you have a 100-story building, and if you want to go to that next level in your business, your income, your life, level up, you need a really strong foundation. And so how did you get here at this level? you obviously didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I think I'll call Grant Cardone. I have no experience. So for a lot of the viewers, they're thinking like, how do I get there? And what you've done with your companies, Seal Labs, Sinuit, is how you say it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've had a lot of experience there, but going back to what influences you. Let me start with this. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
The first thing I do every day is I give my kids a kiss. Okay. So I wake up and they're sleeping because I beat the sun up every day. I have for decades. And I give them a kiss every day. That's how I start my day. I look at them. I realize that they're my driving force. When I was 20 years old, I realized that eventually I'm going to become a dad. And not when I was 20, and not many young men when they're 20 years old think about becoming a dad unless they're actually going to become a dad. And I wasn't, but I was thinking about that. And the reason I was thinking about that, Eli, is I was reflecting on my childhood. And my parents went through a really intense divorce when I was about 5 years old. And I'm sure there was worse divorces than theirs, but it was pretty darn grueling. If somebody were to say to me, what's one word to define your childhood? I would say loud. Like there was nowhere for me to go for peace or serenity or calm. There was just like so much uncertainty. So when I was 20, I realized that this was a point of demarcation for me. I can make decisions starting right now that will forever change my future. So by the time I'm a dad, I have what I deem to be the most important access point that any human being can strive for, which is freedom. And I remember that day that I thought of freedom. Like it gives me the goosebumps even sharing the story because it was so raw for me. And I'm like, well, what's freedom? So I started breaking it down. And there was 12 different categories of freedom. Everything from my health, to my wealth, to my geography, to my career. And then I started to define each of the areas. And I wrote for about 30 minutes. And I produced like 8 pages of content. Like it was just like
a seminar, or you just
no, it was just sitting in my little apartment by myself.
Since I've known you, like with what you've done and how you've streamlined your time, you're so well organized. And what you're saying with the divorce, your father, and when we have these values, what we value, whether it's freedom or health or whatever, at a young age, and you make visionary decisions at such a young age of 20, often, I can speak for myself and people that I've connected with, we're influenced by something in our environment and it causes us to go towards something or away from something.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you had an experience that made you want to, that example is a warning for me.
Yeah.
And so, but that's rare. What do you think was it in that conversation that you were able to process, like this experience means this for me in a positive way? Because you could have just said, oh, by that example, that's how relationships are.
Yeah.
How did you even have a reference point that it could be another way? Was it movies or other people, or like who were the initial mentors in your life that gave you this higher standard? Because, I work in coaching and I've sold coaching because people want to connect with like a Tony Robbins because they want that mentor, and he's a huge guy, and people connect with Grant. They want that mentor, and a lot of us lack that. And you seem to have, without that mentor that most of us lack, kind of developed your own, this internal force that and vision and definition of how you wanted it to be. Where did that come from?
So when my parents went through the divorce, there was chaos. Like when they were married for the very short period of time, very successful, kind of in theory had it all. And like all I remember was them being madly in love. And then one random day, the lights went off and they were divorced. And that was like this, it was like a shock to my entire system. I'm like, how could that happen so quickly? Now, obviously, I'm sure there was things happening besides the scene, which I now know, that led to that moment. But from my perspective, it happened so fast. And I believe that most people, when there's pain or discomfort or unknown, they just retreat. And for whatever reason, I just stepped into it. I stepped into it really hard. I wanted to understand. I became so wildly curious how a relationship that seemed so perfect could just all of a sudden come to an end.
Do you have brothers, sisters?
I have a sister as well. Total opposite than me. Yeah, total younger sister. Totally opposite. Like ran from the pain. I immersed myself in the pain, and our lives are distinctively different today as a result. But I immersed myself in. I was so curious. I'm like, how does it go from so wonderful to I never want to speak to you again, restraining orders, hate, anger, and the kids getting brought into it? Like, how did that happen so quickly? How is it possible, like my father, who I love, someone that is so skilled in the space of influence and sales, consistently makes decisions that self-sabotage his success? So I became wildly curious, and I started listening to audios. I was listening to personal development when I was like 6 years old. I don't even know what made me gravitate to it, but there was just something about the way that it made my mind start processing and thinking. So early on, I just jumped right in. And when I was 11, I read Awaken the Giant Within. I don't even know if I understood it all. I'm how old am I now? 37, yeah.
37.
Yeah. So I've been like at this for like a couple of decades, like immersing myself into what does it take to gain the edge. I became fanatical about health when I was really young. Like when I was 11 years old, I was begging my dad, let me work out in the gym. Just give me the chance to work out in the gym. And he's like, no, you're too young. You're going to stunt your growth. Because that's what they used to talk about, right? Was that you'd stunt your growth if you worked out too soon. I'm like, let me do anything. Yeah. So I started doing the rowing machine and pull-ups. And I was disciplined every single day. Rowing machine and pull-ups.
A major role model, coach, somebody like that?
No, the thing is I don't. Like, and other than the fact that my mom has been a huge inspiration to me as a single mom that had a real uphill battle and found a way to always ensure that her kids had what they needed to now have the life that they have and just put us first, even if it meant compromising herself. But even there's parts of her that I run the opposite way from, just based on like what I've learned. Because like you said, like when you experience things in life, there's things you're going to gravitate to that you want to model and then create, and other things you're like, wow, I don't want any of that. So as much as my mom was wonderful, there's elements of who she is and who she was. I'm like, I don't want that. And I love her to death. I love my dad to death as well. But notice I don't do a lot of reading or listening to audio now. I just consistently am reflecting. I am like constantly introspecting. Like, why did someone do what they just did? Like, what motivated their decision? What motivated me to say what I've said? And I think a ton. And I think this is something that other people can do as well. I think most people go through life and they're not asking themselves the right questions. They're not digging in enough to figure out why did they feel the way that they felt? Like, where are these rules that were established in their life that have perpetually held them back to what's possible? I do believe that every person has the ability to introspect. Some of that introspection comes as a result of being catalyzed by you, catalyzed by your work, catalyzed by Tony, catalyzed by Grant, maybe catalyzed by something that I say. But once you're catalyzed, go with it. Like, go as deep as you possibly can to uncover whatever is there and then use it to your advantage. Don't use it as an anchor. Because once you uncover it, it could be used as an anchor. Use it as something that propels you forward.
One of the things I've known about you, in my experience of you, is you have one of the strongest, what they call locus of control, like internal locus of control. Most people outside, and I work in self-development. Most people, they refer to it as shelf development because they buy the books and they consume all the stuff, but they don't do anything. And my buddy Nick Sornikova that we know says there's the golden ratio is like 1 part consumption, 15 parts action. Most people, it's like 2,000 parts consumption, and it's looking out for mentors and all of that. But you didn't have really any of that. It wasn't a coach, anybody. You just said, this is how I want my life. And you created 12 different
non-negotiables. Like it was like undeniable, this is what I will have. But it was so interesting in that moment. I was 20 years old. I read these 8 pages after I wrote it.
Did you have like a high school relationships, like something like something crazy kind of like helped mold you into this, or it just like you just
a sequence of things? I'm a 150% person or nothing. Yep. So high school relationships, immersing myself in athletics, immersing myself in health, immersing myself in, and the things that I'm not interested in, I'm a 0. Like I don't even touch it. I focus 100% on making my strengths better, and I spend 0 time trying to fix my weaknesses. To me, I'd rather find somebody else where my weakness is their strength, let them go and do that for me. And that's always been the case. When I read these 8 pages, it was so interesting. I remember thinking to myself, I still have them. Yeah. I was like, I don't know anyone that has this life. Like, there's no one that I know that has what I just wrote on a piece of paper. And if I'm going to want what no one else that I know has, I have to be willing to do what no one else that I know has ever done. And I just went all in on entrepreneurship, like a hardcore, total immersion. When everybody's like, play it safe, like, why are you taking such big bets? Why are you taking so much risk? I just stepped into it. And it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And now I'm a dad. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, happily married, and we have that freedom. And it's because I just went all in. I committed. It was a non-negotiable. It's all that I could see. I had one plan. It was plan A, freedom. So there was no other plan to distract me. And that was my fanatical focus. And that's my filter now. So one of the things that I've learned, though, is that many entrepreneurs believe that they got to like bleed their way to success. And I used to think that too. Like, the harder I work, the more that I muscle, I'm going to make it. And I made it. But I was like a bloody mess at the finish line. And one day I realized I need to create a new filter for myself. I'm willing to sweat, but I'm not willing to bleed. Because sweat is healthy, right? Like, we go to the gym and we sweat, like we feel good about ourselves. It eliminates the toxins, like our mind is clear. So sweat is great, like hard work is awesome, but blood is completely unnecessary in entrepreneurship. And I don't believe that's spoken enough. I think there's so much discussion around hustle and grind. And listen, I have non-negotiables. And those non-negotiables are that at 5 o'clock, my phone goes away and I'm with my kids. And I will not let anything penetrate that time. That is a sacred space, because that's my definition of freedom. Now, I'm not saying that's right, But every entrepreneur must define whatever they desire. And then that becomes the non-negotiable. And that's how they can have it all. And that's what I commit to for entrepreneurs.
That's one of the things I've heard you talk about most. And it's interesting, great salespeople, who I consider you to be, by far, one of the best I've ever heard. People who are very good at negotiating have non-negotiables where there's no negotiating around that.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting when it comes to some people who are bad at negotiating out there, they're very good at negotiating in here. And people who are successful, there's no negotiation in here, and they're great with it out there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, taking from, did you go to university? Go to school?
Yeah, I went to Indiana University. I was in the business school.
Okay.
I was not a student though, so when I was on campus, I'm like, I gotta hack this education thing because sitting in a classroom just feels like so much wasted energy and time. So I thought to myself, all right, I'm gonna do something crazy here. I'm gonna hack the whole education system. I was a natural bodybuilder in college. I know that was a big part of your life too.
Yeah.
So a natural bodybuilder. I never competed. I did it just for my own discipline.
Yeah.
I used to go to the gym wearing sweatpants and sweatshirt. No one had any idea like what I look like underneath the sweatpants and sweatshirt. So I wasn't doing it for that. I was just doing it for my own discipline. And then I'd go up to the incline bench and I'd incline bench over 400 pounds. And people were like, and I'm not that tall, like they were like, whoa, like this guy's a freaking animal. Yeah. So I thought to myself, I'm gonna start a personal training business and I'm gonna get paid for doing it. I'm gonna pay my way through college with it. And I'm gonna train all of my business school professors. And part of the deal is that I'm not going to go to class, and when I'm training with them, they just need to tell me what I need to know to pass the test. And that's what I did. And I got to really know some of these business school professors that were really interesting people. Like they were entrepreneurs prior to being professors. So I learned what really mattered versus what they actually teach in a textbook. So I graduated early, and once I graduated, I started my first company, literally the day that I graduated, which was a reverse mortgage business in downtown Chicago with a fellow graduate. I didn't know anything about reverse mortgages. The timing was right. Luckily, he knew about reverse mortgages. I knew about human influence. And we found a way to raise $500,000 on a napkin idea from investors that were part of McKinsey Consulting. We used that capital to begin to just scale some infrastructure. And I sold out pretty early because it wasn't overly passionate about it.
Before Merrill Lynch?
This was before Merrill Lynch. Okay. Yeah, this was the one chapter right before.
Yeah.
So I had an exit right before Merrill Lynch.
And you're how old at this time?
I graduated early, so I was probably like 20 and a half, 21.
Yeah.
I already made the commitment that freedom was my outcome. Yeah. The only path that I saw to get there was entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, this whole concept of not negotiating and you're not in your head about things. I was watching one of your videos. You're just like, you just take action. Yeah. It's just right there. There's not this back and forth in your mind about this and that. That's how you're able to create success so quickly. Yeah. And so it's absolutely amazing. And then, so from there, you were able to exit a company. Yeah. And you made how much?
Like $5.5, $6 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what'd you do with that money?
I'd made a lot of bad decisions, but not in the time. Like they were great. They were learning opportunities.
At
but
20 years old.
Just didn't know. I didn't have enough financial literacy. So just investing in things. I wasn't like burning it. Like I bought into material stuff. It was more of just investments in myself, like trusting people. So kind of burned through it quickly. But I realized this was an interesting point in my life because I had money. I was really young. I was living in Chicago. My family was on the East Coast. And I thought, let's move back to be closer to family. And let me just try this corporate thing. Let me see if I can be an employee. So I found a way to influence my way into Merrill Lynch. I became a financial advisor that literally knew nothing about the markets or bonds, literally nothing, but I knew about human connection. And I joined this team where I was like the young hustler, and they were sending me out to all of these events. They had about $25 billion under management. And I started going to events with celebrities and people in the fashion industry, and I was like that young guy that knew nothing, zero, about finances, but I knew how to connect with people. And I started bringing meetings in to meet with my team. They were unmatched. Yeah.
For a lot of people here, going into this concept, we're going to kind of dig into the relational capital. You're 20. A lot of young hustlers out there wanting to create this relational capital. They go to networking events, or they try to get in the room. They're not even able to get in the room. Or they get in there and they've got like commission breath, or they're pushy, or they're awkward, or they're weird. You're a young guy that's able to connect. You're obviously successful and confident. How did you get into those rooms? And what did you do to differentiate yourself in those rooms?
So I wanted to find a way to pretend like I didn't have any money because I didn't want to pay my way into those rooms. And I also knew that I didn't have a lot of longevity working on Wall Street.
And these rooms were like
$100,000 seats. Yeah, like they're like fundraising events, like $100,000 plates. And I'm like, I'm not going to, all in New York City. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $100,000. I'm going to find some way to hack this system. So I started cold calling event planners for these really big like fundraising events.
What'd you say?
I would call and I would say, like, I'd know who was coming, right?
Yeah.
So I would first do my research to see who was coming and like what's the cause, and then I would speak into their listening. So I would get them on the phone and we'd have a conversation. I'm like, hey, I was doing so
into their listening.
because I wanted to build rapport with them quickly because I was cold calling them, and they're busy. Like they got a big event coming up in 3 weeks, and I want a free ticket to the event, and I want to find some way to have them want to give me a free ticket. Like I want them to think that if I'm not there, the event's not going to be as significant, as exciting, as energetic. So I would cold call them, and I would do some research so I knew about the reason they were doing the event, and I'd start by just acknowledging them around what I believe their motivation was, and then I would ask 3 questions, and I'd say, what are you most proud of? What are you most excited about? And what's your vision for the future? And those are the 3 questions I would ask. And as a result, I'd get a lot of information from these people. And it was like a conversation. And then I'd go into what I ultimately desired, which was to come to the event in service of them to create value for them. Whether that meant that I was going to bring people from Wall Street that were going to pay for the tickets, whether I'd get to the event early and help them set up, but I'd find some way to have what they're most excited about, which is their presence, and then whatever their vision is for the future, have their vision become their presence sooner. And I was getting invited to these $100,000 events for no money at all. And then I worked the room.
Cold call. And, it's had you read a sales book? Had you had a
0.
coach?
None.
You just off instinct.
Yeah, I did door-to-door sales when I was 19. I figured out how to connect walking into a door, and in Manhattan and Brooklyn selling credit card processing. Yeah, door-to-door, Manhattan and Brooklyn.
But that can be lucrative.
It was so wild. So it was like the summer before my last semester of college. And I didn't want to do an internship. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I want to do something that's just like a really challenging experience. So I found this gig. They were like advertising for competitive people. And I went in for the interview. They hire everybody. It's 100% commission. And they're like, that most people don't make it. I'm like, well, I'm not most people. So they like spoke into my listening, like my competitive side. And they told me you have to see 100 businesses a day to get 1 sale. Manhattan and Brooklyn, midsummer, suit and tie, carrying a briefcase, like sweat, like sweating through suits. Like that's how hot it was. And the first day I'm like, if I got to see 100 businesses, I'm going to see 150 because then maybe I'll get 2 sales, and I got 0 sales. The next day, 125. The next day, 160. The next day, 110. The final day of the week, I'm like, I got to get a donut for a week. Like I can't have a donut for the week. Like I never lose. Like I got to win. Got a freaking donut for the week. And I went home that week and I realized I don't have what it takes. Like I can't do this. Like I don't know how to move people to action. And I started thinking about the fact that I was seeing 100+ businesses a day. And I'm like, I am just churning through the thing that I value most, which are relationships. Like I don't know anything about them. I'm going with my agenda and trying to make my agenda important to them. And I don't even know what's important to them to begin with. So I went in on Monday and I said to the owner of the office, what do you care more about, the 1 sale or the 100 doors? And he goes, I know where you're going with this. Others have tried. Don't even go there. Just see the 100 doors. I'm like, answer my question. Do you care more about the 1 sale or the 100 doors? He was like, I care more about the 1 sale. I'm like, cool. Now that I know it's important to you, let me do it my way. And that day I saw 10 businesses and I got 4 deals.
Wow.
And I became the #1 salesperson in the country as like an internship. Like this was just for the summer. But what I realized was how to build rapport quickly. And it was really those 3 questions. What are you most proud of? That's so people can speak into their past. Like this is the thing that they're most proud of from their career or their life.
You come right out and ask them that question.
Yeah, I would walk in, I'd engage with them a bit, like how long we've been in business for, and then they would say something like I had this whole pitch, like I'm in the area doing da-da-da-da. I'm really curious, like what are you most proud of right now? Like it's amazing what you've done in this establishment, but like what's the single most proud moment for you? And they'll usually go to the back and they'll show an award they got for something that they did. I'm like, oh my, and this is all authentic. Like I will only sell something to someone if I know they're better off with me than without me. So now I found out what they're most proud of. I got them speaking about their past. Then they try to gain control of the conversation. They don't know they're doing this. They're like, well, tell me about you. I'm like, before I go into me, I'm just so curious. You have so many things that you're doing here. It's so impressive. What are you most excited about today? And now they speak about what they're focused on right now. This is what they're most excited about. This is what gets them out of bed in the morning. And then they try to ask me, like, well, now tell me about you. Like, you're just walking in, like, tell me about me. I'm like, I'll tell you about me in a minute. Like, you got me so engaged right now. What's the vision? Like, you've accomplished so much. What's left? So now they speak into the future. And if I know, if I know that if I can make their future a reality faster, it's my moral obligation to get them to say yes. So once I had that information, I then was able to tell my story. And I wasn't telling the story of selling credit card processing. I was telling the story of myself as a natural bodybuilder and my discipline and what I was like. It was a story. And then I'd go into how I can support them. And as a result of building the rapport, building trust, I was able to get the sales. 10 businesses a day. I came back to the office. Everybody's sweating through their suits. No sales. I have no sweat at all. 4 sales, hit the gong 4 times. Everybody's like, what did you just do? And I'm like, I built relationships. I did not burn through doors. I built meaningful relationships, and that led to the outcome.
It's amazing you've realized this so early in your life, and you've built upon it, obviously. We often think all these sales techniques and rebuttals and closes and leading with product, but you were just connecting with human beings. And I think that's been a lot of my, in my selling career, I would often outsell the rest of the company. I'd be 5x some of my people with the same script and same words, but I genuinely cared about people. And so I want everybody here listening to really pick up on your tonality. There's a sincerity, there's a voice, there's a connection. Even as you go into it now, you can see that you're associated to these human beings. And it's more than just words on a script or numbers on a spreadsheet. At the end of the day, it's like connecting. And I think that's your zone of genius. And
well, let me tell you what I see within you. So it might be the same script, it might be the same a lot, but you just listen slightly better than everybody else. And as a result, you hear things other people don't hear. And then you're able to leverage what you hear to produce an outcome. Because everything in life is about leverage. Like when I met with Grant Cardone the first time, he invited me to come to his office. I was already doing something really big in this world. And he heard about me, and he's like, this dude is crazy, or he's onto something, but I want to meet him. And he invited me to come out to his office. I didn't know him personally. I knew him the way that tens of millions of people know him. And I'm very impressed with what he accomplished is awesome. But when I was going to meet him, I was going to meet him. Like I see pictures of Grant and his 2 daughters everywhere. He's very proud of being a dad. And when I look at the pictures, I see that little twinkle in his daughter's eyes. And no child has a twinkle in looking at their dad unless their dad earned it. I'm like, I want to see why he's got the twinkle. Because I know my kids have a twinkle and they look at me. And then I see him and his wife, Elena, and like they're just so supportive of each other. And I'm like, I love that. Like, and they're publicly supportive too. I'm like, I love that. Like, I want to see that guy. And I know a few people that work in his office or in the previously have, and they're like, he's just changed my life. Like he's helped me see things I didn't see. So that was the guy I was looking forward to meeting. And when I met with him the first time, this is like the ultimate of influence, by the way. Like think about Grant's pretty good at that space too, right? And I know I am as well. So I go and we meet and we just built rapport. Like, what are you, Grant? Like you've done so many cool things, bro. But like, what are you most proud of? So I'm now getting information from him before he's getting anything from me. So now he's speaking about everything he's done. Like you can research Grant, like you can find out a lot about Grant, but I want to know the single thing he's most proud of. I don't want to hear about his entire story. What's the single thing you're most proud of? Mm-hmm. So he spoke into it with his foundation and what he's doing to support kids that don't have a dad, because he didn't have a dad. And there's all these statistics on how kids that don't have a dad, there's more crime, there's more dropping out of school, there's more drugs. And he built a whole foundation, and he was speaking into the thing that he's the most proud of is that foundation. And then he tries to ask me questions. And I'm like, no, before it, listen, that's freaking amazing. What are you most excited about today? You got a lot of stuff going on, man. Like you're promoting different things every day. What's the single thing that lights you up the most? And he started talking about how he's offering investment opportunities to the non-accredited, like real estate investment opportunities to people that are not accredited. No one's done this before. Like everyday people can now invest in deals for the ultra high net worth because of Grant Cardone. And he's so excited about just disrupting the space of real estate investing. And then he starts to shift to me. And I'm like, listen, I got a lot to share with you. We have so much in alignment. I can't wait to share with you. You're going to love it. But before I share, what's your vision? Like, what's your vision from here, man? Like, you've done so much. Like, you could call it quits right now, and you're good. And your kids are good. And your kids' are good. But what's left for you? And he goes, I want 8 billion people to know my name. And not out of ego, but because I want them to understand the power of 10X. All right, I have what he's most proud of. I have what he's most excited about. And I have what his vision is for the future. Now, where did all of this, and I wasn't looking to do a deal, but once I heard all of this, I'm like, I know that I'm his vehicle to have his vision. I know I'm his vehicle to make the thing that he's most proud about more successful. I know that I'm his vehicle to double down and 10X what he's currently most excited about with allowing the non-accredited to invest in real estate. Yeah. So I started then going into my story, but I was able to speak into his listening because I had so much information. Like I had everything you need to create leverage. And leverage, when done for good, is a really great thing. And as we went through the conversation, he said to me, we spoke for like 4 hours that day, but he stopped me about an hour in. And he goes, Jared, you see that chair sitting in right there? And I said, yeah. And he goes, that chair is $100,000 an hour. My sales team sells the chair to people, and they can come into my office, and when they pay that fee, I put it into my foundation, and they have an hour with me. They can have lunch with me, they can pitch me, they can ask me for advice, like it's their hour. And here's what I know to be true. You didn't spend $100,000 sitting in that chair because I invited you here. And I also know that you're not asking me for anything. You're not pitching me on anything. You're not asking for advice. So I'm going to ask you for something. And he stood up out of his chair and he put his hand down. He said, I want to help you. I want to help you and I want to build, scale, and sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years with you. And I stood up and I shook his hand. The reason I did was the infrastructure that I already established running a tech incubator has never been done before. There is no incubator in the world that could take a napkin and turn it into a tech company. And there never will be. Like I have this unique singularity, this unique life experience, this unique team. Like it all just came together for us to create this access that has never existed before. And what Grant's done from an audience perspective, community perspective, showmanship perspective is really unique. Like he moves people. And when you bring it together, it's positive disruption. Here's the reason why he put his hand out. I had leverage over him. He knew that I was going to do this, which is build, scale, sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years, with or without him. He knew that, and he knew he couldn't do it without me. And that's the dynamic that everybody needs to produce and create if they're going to want to attract an influencer, a supporter, a cause, an investor. You have to find a way to create leverage and use that leverage for good. Don't use it to take advantage of people. Like I know, and I knew at the time, Grant was better off with me than without me. So I was going to do everything beyond even my power to ensure that he saw that. And once he did, I knew he was going to stand up. Like it was like predictive because I saw the entire experience taking place before my eyes. I saw him leaning in. I saw him engaging. I saw him getting excited. I saw him seeing 8 billion people knowing his name because his current vehicles, they won't produce that. Like there's just no way through online training and through real estate investments, he's going to have 8 billion people know his name. But if you bring in tech companies like that vehicle, you just reach more people. Like you were just on the show with us. We had people pitching us in Africa and India, like a mud hut in South Africa. Like these are people that will never know Grant's name, but now they will because we're able to co-fund this. And that's the power of leverage.
And so you already had this in place. I want to get back to that, but you know, it's kind of for everybody here watching. I want to make sure, and this is one of the ways that I realized this pretty early in my sales career, not as early as you, but you know, what precedes all action? If I want somebody to do something, well, it's their thoughts and feelings about themselves, about their problem, about me. And to get people, one of the thoughts and feelings that people need to have in interaction is that you're a good person or that you care, or they need to be thinking about themselves a lot. And I think that the best way to get people to focus on themselves is to get them to feel safe. And the best way to make them feel like you care is to actually care.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like, there's like, well, what's the strategy to get like, well, like I would drive to these meetings and I've done thousands of meetings all over. And I remember driving to like, say a real estate company and I'm driving there and I'm thinking like, what do I like about these people? And I'm here, this real estate company, and I'm thinking, well, these realtors got out of their 9 to 5 to get paid what they're worth, but they've got an employee mindset and they're doing real estate and they need to market for themselves and they're not getting leads and they pay a desk fee and they're getting, you know, calls on the weekend about toilets and, you know, from real, you know, they're the homeowner and they're, you know, they're missing their kid's baseball game. And I'm like really getting associated to who these people are. They have real problems. And I really do feel that I've got something that can really improve the quality of their life. And so I've got certainty and I'm curious and I'm connected. And I was doing presentations, so I was doing most of the talking, but I was able to ask questions and, you know, and I talk a lot and, you know, I do these seminars and stuff, but you ask questions and there's these micro engagements. And as we say, it's the spaces between the notes that creates the music. And there's a lot of energy happening in this energy exchange of what we're able to build and cultivate within ourselves, certainty, compassion, sincerity, and transfer to another human being, be it one-on-one or at scale, which is my level 3 influence, and we do it to one to many. But what you're doing at this highest level, and you've been doing this for a while, you got into tech. So you went from Merrill Lynch, you're there, and you didn't like it, but you had some success initially, more than anybody. You're dominating very quickly. And then you decide to leave, top of your game.
I'll tell you why, because one day my mentor there, I give quotes because it was like my assigned manager that actually knew about finance. I didn't. I just knew about human connection. He said to me, "You look really young." I'm like, "Oh, I'm 22. Like I look what I am." He goes, "No, what I recommend is comb your hair this way a little bit, and you'll look like 10 years older." I'm like, "You know what? I'm not going to show up tomorrow," because that was the opposite of freedom for me. This wasn't like this ego arrogance thing. Like I'm like, yeah, if someone's going to tell me how to comb my hair, it just isn't the right environment for me. For others, it is. Like, self-awareness is huge. Like, I love that there are people that like to be told what to do. That's wonderful. I'm just not that person. So I literally quit the next day and didn't show up. And I've just, from that moment on, I knew I was unemployable. I was there for like 4 months. Like, it was a really short stint. I passed my Series 7 somehow. I brought in insane meetings. Most didn't close because all I had to do was bring them in. Like, I knew nothing about investing, like in the markets or bonds or mutual funds. Like, that was my team that was supposedly the best at Merrill Lynch. They weren't able to ever close the deal because they didn't understand human connection. I did, but I wasn't investing their money. So they weren't going to trust just my ability to connect with them to be the reason I'm managing tens of millions of dollars. I just like lost faith in it. I'm like, yeah, this is not the vehicle for me. And I'm so intense with time. Like, I'm fanatical about time. And one of my friends, his name is John Butcher. He's the founder of, do you know John?
Lifebook?
Yeah, Lifebook, yeah. So we're really close friends, and what he's done with Lifebook is exceptional, and he's partnered with Mind Valley now.
In Chicago.
I went through when it was like in Chicago, before it went online.
Place you go,
Ridiculous,
like
yeah.
Cool, like, studio.
Ridiculous. It was like, because that's what he does. He creates experiences. So his home, he just sold it, was outside of Chicago, but it was on Oprah. Just because of what they did there. Like, it was the most calming, like, it was the opposite of my childhood. Like, you walk in and your entire body is at a state that I've never experienced before. From the engagement of senses and what you see, it was just unreal. So I'm good friends with John. He was telling me when I was in my 20s, I built this really successful marketing agency. And he goes, I just want to give you a piece of advice as someone that has a lot more wisdom because I've been around a lot more than you. Make sure that you're in the right vehicle at all times. Because you have this singularity, like, you have this ability to influence people, to support you, to want to get involved in what you're doing. Like, it's really a profound thing. I've never seen it before, like the way that you're able to do it. Just make sure you always have the right vehicle to have the optimal impact. And I'm like, that's interesting. And he goes, especially in your 20s, because you'll never get that decade back. Like, this is the decade for you to go all in on something that creates an entirely new future forever for you. And that was one of my like major distinction moments where I'm running an agency. It's successful, but it's kind of a grind. Like, every time we got a new client, I have to hire somebody. Like, it wasn't really scalable. Marketing agency, yeah.
Now social media, there's so many of them.
So many. There was none then.
It's a tough business.
Yeah, and there was like none. We were actually, it's so funny you say that. We had no competition for what we were doing at the time. Like, small business owners, we became their marketing department at a somewhat reasonable price, and we always produced results. Like, we were really good. A big team, big office, making millions and millions of dollars. But it wasn't I cold call. I got every single client cold call. Everyone. Really? Yeah, there was no other one that did sales. I did relationship capital and cold calls. Yeah. But that statement, like, the right vehicle for optimal impact.
What does that mean to you?
So I'm like, I had 400 clients is what we grew. That was our max. In 14 months, we had 400 clients, every one of them. Whether it was like through me speaking at an event and then getting 4 business cards and following up, it was the ultimate of hustle to get those 400 clients. Yeah. And I started thinking to myself, has anyone ever changed the world supporting 400 people? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I think that I'm just playing too small. But I know that within that vehicle, it's harder to grow faster than I grew. I mean, like every process that I established was breaking. Like, because we went from like nothing to 400 clients. Like, it was like overnight. It was so heavy, so fast. And I'm like, I need to find a way to democratize the agency, to eliminate the agency, because agencies can't scale. Like, agencies, for a small business owner, if it's $5,000 to $10,000 a month, most small business owners can't afford that. And even if they can't justify it because they won't be able to grow their business enough. And I was looking at my stepfather. He's a chiropractor. He's a small little chiropractic office in Rivervale, New Jersey. And I was thinking to myself, and I was just helping him because he's my stepfather. But if I didn't exist, he would have had zero marketing, zero messaging, because he doesn't know how to do it for himself. He couldn't justify spending thousands of dollars a month because even though he could afford it, he couldn't see that many new patients to say that it was worth it. So as a result, this man who has like miracle hands that like changes people's lives through the power of the chiropractic adjustment, he's living in obscurity. And he's a great practice, like he's a good office, but I'm like, I need to find a way to make the $5,000 to $10,000 agency under $50 a month for him. Because if I can do that, I can impact 1 million small business owners. If I can impact 1 million small business owners, I can freaking change the world. So I started thinking to myself, how do I democratize what I just built? And democratize means like make it more accessible. Like, how do I eliminate the marketing agency? And I had this idea for a tech product, which I called a virtual marketing department. It would be the simplest marketing software in the world that I would pre-populate with content for every major industry, and then I would sell it to small business owners. A completely done for you platform. Nothing like this existed yet. Like this was so novel, but I didn't really know where to begin, which is why I started the agency first. But in 2011, I had my point of clarity. I'm like, that's what it does. So I interviewed 12 different software development firms all throughout the U.S. that were highly recommended to me. I hired one in Boston, Massachusetts, that had a really good track record. And they said to me it would take 10 months and $750,000 to build the first version. And I went all in. I had the money to do it. This is where I burned through money, right? So I went all in. Like I wrote the check, almost a six-figure check every month. Like I was 26 years old at this time. Like it was a big financial responsibility, but I was in. And I told you, I'm 150% or zero. So I was like in, like this is where I was going. And at our 10-month mark, I went in for the demo day, the D-Day. I was so excited. I woke up that morning. I was dating my now wife. And I'm like, this is our moment, baby. We're going to freaking take on the world. And I go into the meeting and they're like, Jared, we're so excited to see you. I'm like, oh, you're not more excited than I am to see you. I'm like, let's do this. So I sit down, like, all right, before we start, we have some good news for you. I'm like, oh my goodness. If you have some good news, it means you have some bad news too. So I'm like, let's start with the some good news. So they did the some good news, which was a demo. And I'm like, yeah, that looks good, but like, where's everything else? Like, where's every other feature? They're like, well, that's the some bad news. I'm like, well, what's the some bad news? They're like, well, we just miscalculated what it was going to take. Not a big deal, but we just miscalculated. I'm like, well, what's the damage? They said, we think we need another year and a half and about $1.5 million. And in that moment, I became a statistic. Because that's what happens to non-technical tech founders, which is what I am. Like, there's not an engineering bone in my body. I know how to write marketing copy and I know how to sell. But yet I've immersed myself in the space of tech. And it was so interesting, Eli. I should have been so mad or I should have been so sad. And maybe both, right? Like, this was a lot of time and money and a lot more time to get to where I wanted to get to. And I already started promoting it. Like I don't keep things a secret. So I was like, the cat was out of the bag. Like, this was my day. Everybody knew this was my day. And yet I felt grateful. And I felt grateful because I realized this was happening for me, not to me. Because my calling as an entrepreneur, it wasn't to just support small business owners and democratize the marketing agency. It was to make the technology industry safe. I didn't know what I meant by it at the time, but that's all that I kept hearing in my mind was, this is happening for you to make the technology industry safe. Because this is not safe for anyone. And in addition to that, I met somebody. There was this one man on my team who, his name is Monty at the time, and we had 35 engineers we hired through this company. But this one person I really connected with, and his story is amazing. So before he met me, he was living in India. When he was in India, he had his own software development firm that he started out of his parents' like 150 square foot apartment, like this little tiny apartment that like a dozen people lived in. And he ended up growing that company in 3 years from just himself to almost 100 employees. So outside of being a very strong engineer, he's really a great mentor and manager to engineers. He sold that company at the end of 2011 because he wanted to move to the US with his wife to start a family here in 2012. And when he moved to the US in 2012, he was living on the end of my street where my original office was in Englewood, New Jersey. Now, he could have been anywhere but there, and I never would have met him. Because when he got here, he had no money, he had no bike, and he had no car. So he had to walk to work. And in between his apartment and my office was this little coffee shop that I never went into. But for one random day, I went in, and he was there. And I'm not really social like that either, so I don't like just go up to random people and just like talk to them unless I'm going door-to-door sales. And so for whatever reason, I started talking to him, and we just hit it off. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing for work? He's like, no, I just got here 3 days ago. And I'm like, you got to join me. So I literally call up the firm in Boston, like in the shop. And I'm like, hire this guy and get him into my office. I want somebody sitting in the office with me. So they did. And in 2014, when things started going astray with this vendor, I said, Monty, I'm ending my relationship there. Let me hire you. Become my CTO. And he goes, Jared, that's my dream. So I'm like, all right, that's my dream too. Let's go. So he joined me, and it gave me a chance to really do the company right, called Synduit. And we started building our own software development team. We started hiring in the US, in Canada, and we hired a dozen people in India as well that Monty previously worked with. And when you're in tech, if you could figure out India, you're in great shape. It's just so hard to figure it out unless you have Monty, who's going to hire his friends and his family. So it was beautiful. The only downside was they were all contractors. And it's hard to retain contractors anywhere, but it's especially difficult to retain contractors in India because contractor income in India, it's not recognized by banks. So as a result, they can't get loans for houses or cars or anything that they're going to eventually want, so they have to quit. And I'm like, this is like my India family. Like, I want to improve their quality of life and I want to retain them. So I went through a process to set up my own company in India that I actually own, which is really hard to do as a US citizen. We launched it in 2017. I employed the 12 people. They were happy and they were now not going anywhere. And I realized that was so much effort to set up a company for 12 people. I got to do something with this now. So let's start scaling the team. And in about 30 to 45 days, we went from 12 people to almost 25 people. And that was my catalyst for Synduit. So today, Synduit has tens of thousands of users across 30 different industries. We did it. We democratized the marketing agency, paying users, small business owners, small business paying under $50 a month, and they have a virtual market. We totally did it. Like, we pulled it off. Like, the platform is amazing, got a great team. But the magic of the story is what happened in April of 2020. This is such a great lesson for your audience. So in April of 2020, I woke up one day and I realized I'm officially obsolete. Like, I don't have a role here anymore. And that should be every entrepreneur's dream, is to get to the point where you're not needed. And I wasn't only not needed, I kind of wasn't even wanted. Like, my team's like, we got this, man. Like, do your next thing. So I was thinking about, like, what's my next thing? Like, I was 35 at the time, like 2 young kids, happily married. Our life is pretty set because of Syndrome. Like, what's my next thing? And I realized that my next chapter was my moonshot. I was going to do something that was going to shake up the world, or I was going to go down trying. And as I was thinking about my moonshot, I started thinking about what happened to me in 2013-ish, 2014-ish, when that software development firm said we have some good news. And I realized my calling was to make the technology industry safe. So I committed to doing what I just did with Synduit, but 10,000 more times by 2031. I don't know why it was 10,000, but you can't negotiate against the moonshot. It just is what it is. So I got my phone, I called up Monty, who was still my CTO at the time at Synduit, and this woman, Katie, who was my director of operations, and I said, I got an idea. I'm going to do it with or without both of you, but I prefer to do it with you. Let's build, scale, and sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years. Are you in? And their exact words, Eli, were, we are in because it's you, but we have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So I'm like, all right, let me explain. We're going to launch a tech incubator, but this is not going to be like every other incubator or accelerator where we invest a little bit of money and then provide mentorship in a classroom for 3 to 6 months. That's cool. That's just not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is give people a chance to pitch us their tech idea that they wrote on a piece of paper, or we call a napkin, or their minimum viable tech product that they've invested a little bit of money into, or even a cash flowing tech company that's plateaued and they really want to accelerate it. And when they pitch us, there's 4 things we're going to look for. The right person with the right idea in the right market and the right business model. And if all 4 of those things are present, we will co-found a company with that person. We'll both take equity in the company, so our values are completely aligned. And then we build the entire company at cost. Software development, go-to-market, sales, customer support, legal, fundraising, financing, everything it takes to build, scale, and sell the company. And about 99% of the initial cost for the minimum viable product is at cost in a company in India that I've owned since 2017. So the risk is low and the cost is low. So in June of 2020, we opened up our portfolio. And since that point of time, we've had over 14,000 people submit their tech ideas. For the most part, napkins, like these really early stage concepts.
Like today.
Like today, like you saw. Like, these are just napkin ideas, big dreams, big aspirations, big goals, but there's nowhere for them to go with it. Like, nowhere other than their mind, and then eventually to their graveyard, because they have nowhere to go with it. And now they do. Of the 14,000, we've had about 600-ish earn the chance to pitch us. So they went through an application process to actually pitch us, kind of like a virtual Shark Tank experience. And then of that, we've said yes to about 125 companies in our first year. That 125 is more remarkable than 10,000 in 10 years, because we had to figure this out. Like, how do we scale India? How do we scale US? Like, what does a team look like? What does bookkeeping look like for 125 companies? But here's what's so important for everybody to realize. We are not playing law of averages. Everything that we say yes to, every person that we say yes to, we see a path to build, scale, and sell. And my certainty is derived from 2 things. 1, our criteria is very strong, so we're definitely not saying yes to everything. And 2, we're vertically integrated. We launched our own angel investor network. We have our own crowdfunding platform. We're doing some cool stuff with the blockchain right now, selling perpetual use licenses of early stage tech companies. And we're opening up a fund for both accredited and non-accredited people to invest in early stage tech companies, which aligns with what Grant Cardone is ultimately excited about as well, so we can reach more people. But here's what I've learned. This is the power of what you teach. I learned how to get attention and how to keep attention. I commit years ago, and I just happen to really manifest this now in this chapter of my life, that every time I meet somebody, whether it's the first time or the 10th time or the 100th time, I want them to dream about me that night. Not because I'm weird or like ego driven, because I want that conversation to embed itself in the person's life. And there's 3 steps in the process.
Amazing.
The first is you declare your moonshot. So for me, it's build, scale, sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years. And when you declare it, you declare it. You don't feel silly. It's not like if everything works out. It's not like, well, it depends who wins the election. It's not like, well, if COVID ends, like the moonshot is the moonshot. It's happening regardless of any outside factors. The second thing you do is what I call maniac action. So maniac action means you take so much action so quickly that anyone that's watching you, they think you're crazy and onto something at the same time. Because it's like, whoa, they don't even know, they can't even process. Like it's happening like so quickly. And the third thing is you don't keep it a secret. You talk about what you're doing incessantly. And when you do this, you get a ton of attention. And that's what we have. We have attention from Silicon Valley, celebrities, athletes, like icons in the tech industry. And that's the reason why Grant Cardone said, this dude is crazy or he's onto something, but I got to meet him. And it led to us coming together and doing this together as a result.
This is amazing. Yeah. It's great. I know one of the first times we talked, maybe about a year and a half ago, wasn't the first time. I was telling you about my day, and I'd worked like a 12-hour day, and you were saying how hands-off you were with your business now. That level, so that would be like my level 3 influence, 1 to many, and then level 4 influence for everybody here. It's where you're able to infuse your values. So Steve Jobs, great example. He's been gone for over a decade, but very innovative in the way he thought and communicated, and it's the most innovative company still today because of the values that he infused. And so you're consistently able to infuse your values into the people in India and what you do, the passion, the certainty, the activity, all of that, and now it's at scale. It's like scaling 10x.
Yeah.
And so it's really amazing that you do that. What are some of the ways that you stay so organized? Because you have a lot going on. You're very methodical in your thought process and your structure and how you show up. How do you keep this all together?
So I realized like if you can't replicate, you can't scale. And if you can't scale, you fall short of your moonshot. So it's a requirement. So I'm just insanely process driven. And now I've been able to build a team around that to support in developing those processes. But those 3 steps really drive everything, because when you declare a moonshot and you don't feel silly, like the way you declare it, like people are like there's no way you're doubting me when I said that. You're like, oh yeah, he's freaking doing it. Like there's no chance he's not doing it. Like, so you declare the moonshot, you take maniac action, you talk about it a lot. I do this with my team. So when we started growing in India, we built our own HR team, and I just kind of set them off to see how they would do, and they were coming back with nothing. I'm like, all right, we got to change the way that you go and engage with people and build rapport, because we were non-existent. Like there's like major software development firms in India that like they have office space, so like the Google of India. Like we're trying to compete to get talent from the Google of India to actually like join us. And I'm like, we got to build rapport. You got to cast a vision. They got to see the moonshot and want to co-author that story. So I really trained them on asking those 3 questions and then telling the story. And I built these like mini Jareds running around India that are recruiting all the talent to join. It's those 3 steps. They do everything. And then you gotta have process. You have to have process and really think into the future and be willing to scrap anything that once worked that isn't working anymore. I am completely unromantic about anything I've ever created. I get excited when things break. So one of the things I talk about with the team, because they don't get as excited about it, now they do, is that a refrigerator will break for the most part every 5 to 7 years. Like it's just going to break. Like the motor is going to burn. Like it's just absolutely inevitable. And we go so fast that 1 week is equivalent to 1 year in the real world. So expect our refrigerator to break every 5 weeks. And it's perfectly okay. All we got to do is figure out how to fix it and then not have the same thing breaking out in the future. So I'm just process driven. I reverse engineer things. I think a lot. Like I spend a lot of time thinking, like, how do we fix this problem? So like things that we face are scaling in India, scaling team. How do we do bookkeeping across 100 plus companies, like, and soon to be 1,000, soon to be 10,000. How do I even get that many leads to flow through? Like, how do I get enough ideas? Like, listen, you're on the tank today. I think maybe one of the 4 pitches was even remotely worth pursuing, right? Two. So you got lucky. Yeah. Like usually, like 10% of the stuff we hear is worth going into due diligence on. And then of that 10% is worth co-founding. So if we're going to have 10,000 tech companies, I'm gonna need like 1 million ideas. Like it's a huge number of people that we have to process, and I'm not gonna go door to door getting ideas. Like there's no chance. I won't be able to see enough doors. So I think to myself, well, who has the keys to the kingdom that I want access to? Like, who has already built the tribe, built the community? Like, who's already congregating? And how do I find a way to produce a win-win outcome with that person so that I can get access to what took them 10, 15, 20 years overnight? So like Synduit is an example. It's this marketing software that is industry focused now. And when we broke into the dental industry as an example, I thought to myself, well, I could go and just start running ads to get individual dentists to sign up for the software, but they don't even know who I am. So I have to somehow build rapport like through digital marketing, or I can go to somebody that already has rapport with the industry, an industry leader that has thousands and thousands of dentists that are buying his programs and engaging in his events and find a win-win outcome. This guy, Gary Keaty, who is a very, very high-end coach in the dental industry, which then led to other relationships too. He was like my first one, but I created a win-win outcome. I helped him see how what I was doing was going to get him to his outcome faster. Because I asked those 3 questions. Let's think about 10X Incubator now. Originally, we were called Sela Labs. I wanted access to a very large audience so that every time that one of our products was ready to go to market, we could quickly generate cash flow. Quickly. I need a large audience to do that. So I'm like, well, who has a large audience like that? Grant Cardone does, right? So when I was meeting with him and I heard what his vision was for the future, which was to have 8 billion people know his name because of 10X, I'm like, well, I can help you make that a reality faster. And you can help me with what I want faster, because I could have circumnavigated Grant. It would have taken like 7 to 10 years. I only have 10 years to do this. So I needed to find a way to shave time. It's taken him 30 years to get to where he is. So as a result of the relationship I established, a win-win outcome, I saved 30 years, or at least 7 to 10 years. That's what every business owner, every entrepreneur needs to think about, how they could shave off time. There is someone else that has what you want, and you potentially have what they want. And if you can help them get what they want faster, they're going to help get what you want faster, and everybody wins in the process.
It's amazing. Yeah, 10X and 10,000. It's really
just worked out perfectly.
It's really worked out perfect. That's amazing. So you did this marketing, just exploded, and so Sela Labs has now become 10X, and that's what you're doing. One of the conversations we had maybe about a year or so ago, I was living in Miami then. We had talked about potentially this Uber of sales, and you had really created something there. Is that related to the Sela Labs, what you're doing? Or is that something, do you have people kind of in your back pocket doing sales right now?
We're so close. So the product launches soon. It's called My Sales Champion, and it's the vision I casted back in the day. So it's
and that's a separate thing, or is that?
No, it's a portfolio company of 10X Incubator. So it's awesome. It's the gig of all gigs. I stand for the gig economy. I think it's awesome. It's giving people a chance to step into entrepreneurship in a way that meets them where they are, versus them having to like bear all this risk. They can just get in their car and start driving their Uber, and they're an entrepreneur now. Like they're self-employed. That's a great step to becoming maybe something more than just driving an Uber, or that's perfect for them and what they want. But one of the things that I stand deeply against and fanatical about time is exchanging time for money. I mean, you know this world because you work with a lot of coaches and consultants, and a lot of them struggle with that. Like, there's constantly exchanging time for money. Like, my hourly rate is $500. Like, how many hours are you going to coach? Like, that's the most amount of money you can ever make. Like, you teach people how to get beyond that, which is extraordinary, and give them the skills to sell themselves better as well. So I just don't like time for money, and that's what the gig economy is. It's a time for money game. Whether you're on Upwork designing logos, or you're on Uber driving cars, or DoorDash, or it's just a time for money game. And I thought to myself, well, if somebody had to make $3,000 to cover their expenses in a week, let's just use that as a number, they would have to drive Uber the entire week to make $3,000. Like a lot of Uber driving to make $3,000 in a week. And what that does is it steals their freedom. And I don't just stand for freedom for me, I stand for freedom for anyone I can touch. So I thought if we could find a way to bring sales into the gig economy, there's a chance that they can make one phone call on a Monday morning and hit their target and then be done for the week. And now they can be a better dad or a mom or whatever they want to be at that point. Or just make more money too, because they're not exchanging time for money. And that's what led to My Sales Champion, which is truly, for lack of better terms, it's the Uber of sales, where we're connecting anyone that wants to sell anything with businesses that want access to salespeople. And it is by far the biggest thing that we're building. Since we spoke, we kind of scaled back what we call the minimum viable product, just be more attainable, because I want it to go live. Like, I'm the most patiently impatient person ever. I'm like, all right, we got to go now. We got to bring this to the world. It's so needed more than ever before.
And the rest would be in India.
They'd be anywhere, around the world. Literally, people could sell from anywhere. Like college students, stay-at-home parents, anyone. They get trained and then they go and sell. Yeah, anywhere. And with the way that the political environment is, with potential of mandating and forcing and people that have to make hard decisions now with regards to where they're going to put their energy and effort because of their values, go freaking sell with us. Like, forget about the 9 to 5 paycheck where there's all this rules and restrictions around it. Quit, become an entrepreneur, but don't work from home, but don't trade time for money. Like, don't trade time for money.
Well, wouldn't they still be trading time for money because they're on the phone selling?
But a commission, so they can they can earn more. Like if they have to make, if someone has to make $3,000 in a week to cover their lifestyle, that is literally driving 40 plus hours or more on Uber. It's a lot of driving. Whereas they can make one sales call, right? They could sell your program for $30,000 and you pay a 10% commission. One sales call made them the $3,000, and that's not exchanging time for money anymore. And then they can go make more if they want, right? That's the power of learning the skill that you teach. Is it gives you the chance to experience unlimited. Like, and then you just create the limit. Like, people create the limit of what once they feel like they got enough, they got enough. But most career paths don't have the ability to produce unlimited. Like, most skills don't have the ability to produce unlimited. Like, teaching what you've done by helping people understand the power of influence produces the ability to even have unlimited. They can choose what their limits are, but it produces that ability. That's why I stand. It's what it's done for me, and I'm just warming up. Like, but that's what it's done for me. Like, understanding what you teach is the single most distinct superhuman power that anyone can have. Is that you get what you want when you learn how to do the skill. Just use it for good. That's it. That's the key.
That's the key. I just want to be respectful of your time. We took some pitches today, and for everybody here, a lot of people are going to see this interview. A lot of them salespeople, people with ideas. Some of them will probably come on here. I've got a few friends that have actually successfully built and exited on their own tech companies in Silicon Valley. So I do want to make some connections for you. But we saw some pitches today, and because of this, you will get some more, and you're going to continue to get a lot more anyway. What are the biggest mistakes you see people come with pitches? For you.
Lack of certainty. So like when they show up, I want them, whether they answer the question right or wrong, I don't even listen for what they say. I listen for how they say it. Like, I want to put them in a position in their pitch. They only got 5 minutes. Where I want to put them on their heels, but I want them to not get to their heels. I want them to take control of the conversation.
How can somebody have more certainty? Because, especially you were telling me about some of the instances where somebody's over there, it's you and Grant here, they're sweating,
Yeah.
So how does somebody get into that place of certainty to move people who are really, they're coming into it with a psychology that these two men are controlling my destiny. So they're an external locus of control.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody to get that inside of them, maybe reconnect to their vision? What is the process that you go through? If it was you, pitching, what would you do to prepare yourself with a certainty, product knowledge, understanding? What would you do to prepare, and what advice can you give these folks?
So I have a training on this. It's free, which is 10xincubator.com/perfect pitch. There's no upsell, but what I do is the 3 things that I shared. I declare a moonshot. And this is what everybody needs to do. Declare the moonshot, own it. Own that moonshot. This is not if everything works out in the world, this gets accomplished. Like, this is what I stand to do in this life. The second thing is come in knowing that you're taking maniac action. Even if it's a napkin idea, which is the majority of the stuff we hear. Come in taking action. Come in saying that you've been on 4 podcasts, you've been surveying people. Like, don't just come in being like, hey, I got this idea yesterday, I want to see what you think of it. Like give yourself a week to take massive action. So by the time you show up, in your mind, you're doing this with or without us, because you've already started doing it. The third thing is, don't keep your ideas a secret. So many people think that once their idea is unlocked, someone else is going to steal it. Ideas have no value. Talk about your idea as if it's already here. There's no value. People ask us to sign an NDA. I'm like, you got no value. Like, there's not you as a human. What you're sharing has no value. Like there's no value. Like, we have had 14,000 people submit ideas. The redundancy of submissions is literally fascinating. Like, fascinating. Like, there's no unique idea. Like, what's going to be unique is what you do with it. What is going to be unique is how certain you are when you show up. It's those 3 things, and then what you show up is with a swagger. Listen, bro, I'm doing it with or without you, and you can't do it without me. That's what I want to feel. Yeah. Like, that's what I want to feel. You got to get to that point. And you get to that point, you will then get the next step with us. Yeah. And then we go deeper into the actual idea. But the purpose of the 5 minutes is that you want us to think about you when we're no longer with you. Yeah. Like, you want to do something for the right reason. Like, we have some people that show up that are a little bit crazy, so we're thinking about them for the wrong reason. But you want to show up where we're undeniable certainty. Because even if the idea is wrong, but the person is so right, we'll come to them and say, hey, that idea isn't viable for these 7 reasons, but you're so good, we can't imagine not having you as part of 10X Incubator. We have this other idea that's like a Jared idea or an Eric idea or someone on our team, and we don't have anybody sitting in the co-founder seat. We want to give you that opportunity. And we do this all the time. We just recently had this guy. His name is Curtis Platt, freaking rock star, super successful dude, but ready for his moonshot. And he pitched us on a really good idea, but we can't figure out how to make it viable. We can't figure out who's going to pay for it. Like, it's like, I can't say the world's not ready. Like, it's like, it may never be ready for what he had in mind, but he was so good. And he was so memorable to me, and I'm like, I can't let Curtis go. I can't let Curtis go. And we have this other company that we've built about 80% done, but there's no co-founder sitting in the seat. So I called him up, and I'm like, here, man. And I take him through the process of why we can't say yes. So now he understands where we're coming from. And I'm like, but I have a question for you. Do you care more about your idea, or do you care more about becoming a tech founder with us? Because I care way more about becoming a tech founder. I'm like, awesome. So if that's what you care about, take a look at this deal. I'd love to bring you on board. He said yes, and he's joining us. So the right person is everything. I almost don't even care about the idea for the 5-minute pitch. I care about the person. And if they're good, they're going to get invited to the next step. And then we can decide whether the idea is viable. If it is, awesome. And if it's not, we're going to plug them in somewhere else.
That's $1 million advice for him. Opportunity. And you're giving this opportunity to anybody.
Yeah.
The pitch, how to do the perfect pitch, that's on the website for free, no pitch. How many people do you think actually watch that before they do? Are they required?
So we try to,
Okay.
but yeah, but it's funny when they do, it is like game changing.
You can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell some people, the last guy was more prepared than anybody, and he actually had something, 7 years in the making. And so that was more memorable.
But we give them a template, a deck, so they use the deck now. Like, they just got to put their stuff in the deck. There's a 60-minute video that trains them on the emotional response that they're going to produce with every slide, so they understand what their outcome is. And then a 70-page manual that I assembled that goes into crazy details.
As I'm sitting there and I'm listening to you, I'm thinking like, I've got all these ideas. I'm just like, my mind's going crazy, and you're telling me like how to do it and everything. I want to come back here and pitch you
awesome.
guys.
Loves it.
For fun.
Yeah. Make you sweat a little bit, but you can handle it.
Good.
Yeah.
I haven't sweat enough for a while, so
Yeah.
I'm wanting to get back out there since the world's been shut down. I'm looking to do a lot of events and all of this. And I just for time's sake, I want to ask you 2 more questions. One, I know you had a partnership briefly that didn't take off, and essentially you had an idea for an event you were going to do, and no seats sold. And then within 3 weeks, you sell 1,800 seats.
Yeah.
And you sell out a convention center
in Jersey. Yeah.
In Jersey, where is
Meadowlands. Yeah.
We've done a bunch of events there, and you did all of that with relational capital. So I've spoken at thousands of events inside companies, and I got invited back, and a lot of times they had other speakers from the same company I represented not be able to come in, but I showed up in a way that created a relationship. And I've done no marketing. My first year in business, we did 7 figures, just people reaching out to me saying, hey, what do you have? I want to buy anything you have. And I think people now, I have so many marketing agencies that we work with, and their scripts, cold calling, like what do I say, rebuttals, all of it. And I really try to infuse that, like Bill Clinton, for example, no sales skills, but he's highly influential in his ability to connect. And his belief about what he's saying and about how valuable it is to you. Yeah. Few people are able to connect like him, and that's how he's done what he's done. Regardless if somebody likes him politically or not, he's able to connect. You can't deny that. And so you were able to fill an event with just reaching out to relationships. Kind of walk us through that process.
So we only had 3 weeks, and the convention center was booked before I got involved.
So imagine for everyone, you're going to do an event, and you want 1,800 people. You got 0 people, and 0 marketing budget. You're not going to market.
Well, there was a budget. There was just no time. Like it was only in 3 weeks. Like to even spin up ads. Like this was this was a brand new idea. The person that I partnered with didn't have a brand yet. Like no one, other than his close network, no one really knew of him yet. There was no one that knew of the company because the company was just started. The event was already moved 3 times up to that point because they couldn't get anyone to sign up. And then they committed to the freaking Meadowlands convention. I mean, Tony fills that. Like that's a big space. And we had 3 weeks to go. And they're like, Jared, go work your magic. And I'm like, well, there's nothing that we can do from a marketing perspective at this point. It's only 3 weeks away. So what we have to do is focus on relationships, because relationships is the greatest accelerator. There's no competition in the space of relationships. There's a ton of competition in the space of marketing. If we start running ads on Facebook, like, we're going to compete against everything. Like, there's just so much noise. So where there's no competition is in the space of producing win-win outcomes. Because there's no one that'll ever say, I have had too many win-wins. Like, no one will ever say that. So it's completely a blue ocean. It's a wonderful, beautiful opportunity. So we did this immersive session with all the partners and close people on the network, where they made a list of all of the high leverage relationships they can get on the phone. Like, these aren't like wishes.
That's people in your company saying, who do you know?
Yeah.
And did you put together a strategy for calling them, saying this, sending them something?
Well, we made it first the list. So I had them, this wasn't like a wish list. This was because there was no time for wishes. Like, this is like someone that you can call and they would take your call kind of list. Like, there was no cold calling. It was like I know Bob, and Bob runs a financial services company with 2,000 employees. Like, and he'll answer my phone call type of stuff.
Have you been maintaining, has each person been maintaining those relationships prior to this event?
Not really. They just were able to reach out. I was going to get them, I was going to tell them what to do. So we made the list first. I then developed different sequencing just to get them on a phone call.
What to say?
Yeah, text messages and emails that were very authentic.
So you wrote copy as well.
Yeah, my skill is I can write copy and I can sell. So the combo.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very
good. So that's what I did. I created like the templates for them to use. But I told them, like, you got to put in.
Background in copy, or did you read it?
I just learned myself.
I did
zero training. I never read one book in copy. Yeah. Wow. I'm just fascinated with what moves people, and I'm unromantic. If it doesn't work, I'm like, I wonder what could have worked, and I test something else. And I also am not flustered if I turn people off. Like, one thing I realized, and then I'll go back into the story, is that if you have a moonshot like I do, which is going to, and Grant does, like 8 billion lives, like, most likely you're going to ruffle the feathers of a few thousand. And most people are so concerned about ruffling the few thousand feathers, they don't go for their 8 billion. And I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, but I just know I will. Like, it's just absolutely inevitable that I will. So I'm not going to let the couple thousand naysayers impact the ability to go for the 8 billion. But back to the event, we created systems and processes. So we had everything from exactly what to send, how to respond to when they actually responded to the messaging, which I was creating in real time because I didn't obviously know.
Yeah, your ability to create them so
fast,
quickly.
fast. Like, it was 48 hours. We had the entire sequence set up. Like, everybody was armed and ready to go. And then it was the game of making calls to people that you already knew. Ask them 3 questions, like, what, even if they knew them, like, I know them already. I'm like, but have you ever asked the question? Like, do you know what their most proud moment is? No, I don't. Then ask the question. Like, just ask the question. So they ask, well, hey, Bob, I've known you for 14 years. You're my uncle. But I've always wondered, like, what are you most proud of in your career? Wow, Eli, I never had anybody ask me that, but it's this. Like, whoa, that's I never even knew that about you, Uncle Bob. Like, that's amazing. But what are you most excited about today? Well, I'm most excited about this. I didn't know you were working on that. It's amazing. Like, before I tell you, like, why I even reached out in the first place, what's left for you? Like, what's your vision? Past, present, future. You have everything you need at this point. And then speak into their listening. Like, find a way to make their excited more excited, and find a way to make their future become part of their presence faster. So what we were doing was an event that was going to teach sales and things of that nature. And sales, to me, is the path of everything you want in life. So it was a very easy way to fit the pitch in. And we just killed it, one to many, though. So we were taking, like, Bob, who had influence over 100 employees, and being like, let's work out a deal, Bob. What do I need to do to ensure that all 100 people on your team come to this experience? Because if they come together, you're going to be, like, undeniable when you go back to the work. Like, when you go back to the office, like, undeniable how powerful you'll be. What will it take for you to get everybody to come? Let me see if I can do that for you. And Bob's like, I don't know. Like, it's so last minute. Bob, I'm just asking, what would it take? Like, what would it take to get all 100 people into this room with you? Because I know you want them all there. I know you don't want to pick and choose. What would it take, Bob? So then Bob tells...
Not a free event.
No, it wasn't a free event. They had to have some number they came up with. And it was unreasonable. We got it to be reasonable. And we got 1,800 people to the room.
Wow.
In 3 weeks. Like, 3 weeks of just... Because there was only one outcome. We had 1,800 seats we had to fill. Wow. Period. And when there is no plan B, there's no, I'm going to move the date. Because that's what they did. 3 times up to that point, they moved the date. They were negotiating against themselves. It's no different than the person that says, I'm going to start going to the gym in 2022, and then they negotiate with the alarm clock. Like, there's no difference. Like, if you have an event, that's the date. If there's this many seats, that's how many seats there are. It's undeniable. There's nothing to negotiate with. Just fill the freaking room by that date. Don't give yourself an out. Like, don't even give yourself the permission to have an out. So the team knew that. There was no permission to do anything but fill the event by this date, and we did it.
Amazing. What time do you wake up in the morning?
I'm 4:45 every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless little Riker wakes me up, and then I'll go to like 5:15ish because I'll cuddle with him. But 4:45 every day I'm up.
What time do you go to bed?
Too late. That's not enough sleep. Probably 11:30, 12. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any favorite books that you'd recommend?
I don't read that much. That's the
Don't read,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I really don't. It's a lot of.
Question.
I used to read a little bit more, but like I don't like, and I get asked this a lot. Like I couldn't recommend it because I'm not. There's nothing that I'm personally reading a lot of at all at this point. Yeah, a lot of thinking, a lot of writing.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten the sense of what you're most proud of, what you're excited about now, and we have a sense of your vision. Kind of, let me know as far as your vision. Are there any questions that I should have asked you that I didn't, or is there anything that you'd like to share about that vision with our viewers that could touch, move, or inspire them, or perhaps enroll them in what you're doing? What else do we need to know about your vision and how we can help you?
So there's two things that really matter to me within build, scale, sell 10,000 tech companies over the next 10 years. So the first is I want to become everybody's first stop instead of their last stop on their tech journey. Because as their last stop, they've already been burned. And if I was their first stop, there's no chance they'd be burned because we would have co-founded with them. So I want to become the first stop instead of the last stop. And I stand against people dying with their greatest ideas inside. Like there's so many people that like literally will like die because they are just like, they're too afraid to pursue their napkin. Like they wrote it on a piece of paper and they're like, I feel silly. Like, I just feel silly. Like no one's going to take me seriously. Well, listen, if you don't take yourself seriously, I can promise you no one else is going to take you seriously. So like for you right now, like there's an idea that's living inside of you. That I am certain of. Like everybody has an idea. That idea, that's their ambitious outcome. That idea is them getting audacious just for a few moments. That's the idea where they're like, wow, like what if? I just invite that person to submit their idea because I don't want you dying with your potential. And the graveyard is where, you know this, right? We talk about this all the time. The graveyard is where the most potential exists because people don't pursue it. So I want to be the first stop instead of the last stop for people. And I don't want them to die with their greatest ideas inside. In addition, we're doing a lot of stuff in the diversity. So we want everyone. I don't care about ethnicity, skin color, age, gender, economic status, prison background. I don't care. I don't care where anyone's been. I don't even care about where they are. I just care about where they want to go. And if the right person shows up with the right idea in the right market and the right business model, we're going to give them a shot. And if that doesn't show up, we're going to tell them what's not right so they can go back and think. And if they want it badly enough, come back to us and pitch us again.
Amazing. It was so great. If you're watching this, and you are, these people showing up today, some of them won't get picked for what they did, but the practice and the feedback from a world-class, somebody who's doing it at the highest level is invaluable. And the fact that you get to have that opportunity and put in the reps, this is just really amazing what you've done and what you've created here. Honored to know you, my friend, and anything I can do to support you, please let me know. But this has been amazing. People get a lot of value out of this, and I feel really honored to be here with you and hear these ideas.
Awesome, and I'm proud of you. Listen, like what you've done to get to where you are is exceptional, but where you're going, it lights my fire because you're so good at what you do.
Up-leveling my moonshot
you are,
today.
But I'm proud of you for doing it though, because like you're so good at what you do. Like you do it. Like and the results don't lie. Like the stats that you've produced are off the charts. Now that you're going to be able to like at scale start arming people with this superhuman ability that you're so uniquely qualified to teach, like your singularity, like freaking get it, bro. Love it. I'm proud of you.
Awesome. Appreciate you. And thank you for being here. I hope you got a lot out of this. Share with us in the comments what you thought of this. Give us any feedback and let us know what is going to be your moonshot, your idea, your vision that you are going to make a reality, and let us know how we can support you. This is Eli Watt again with the Everything is Influence podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.